Got a lot of news to update you on, and I'm going to give you my long-term reviews of the Breezy Ryder and the Sena helmet, and talk about some disturbing trends I'm seeing in the motorcycle industry. And then, of course, your comments.
And welcome to yet another episode of Crown and Comments with your host and resident Goldwing guru, the one, the only, Cruiseman. Brought to you by Cruiseman's Garage Honda Goldwing Maintenance Videos.
Thank you, Don, for that excellent introduction. I appreciate it. I want to first welcome all of you to Crown and Comments for July 2025. It's the end of the month. We get together once a month and I go over a lot of the comments and emails and messages that I get from you folks out there. And I try to respond to them as best I can. Sometimes they are hate-filled. Sometimes they're very glowing praise, and I appreciate both the comments, because comments help my YouTube channel. If you're putting the comments in on a YouTube video, it's called engagement, and YouTube looks at that engagement. So even if you put in hate comments, it's actually good for the channel. So, and I'll respond to it. I don't care. I don't know what there is to hate. Let me get my other cap. This is not the cap I normally wear. What's going on here? Here's my normal cap. Okay. This is my Crown and Comments cap, the Shadow Wing. Okay, let's start with some of the news just to update you on what's going on. Oh, by the way, you may notice I've got my cup of coffee this morning. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. I can't quite start drinking Crown until after 8 a.m. What am I, an animal? So I am having my coffee this morning while I'm doing the show. So technically, I think we can call this Coffee and Comments rather than Crown and Comments. And since it's so early in the morning, you might hear my voice cracking up a little bit. So let's get on with the news. First of all, I will be back in Chattanooga, Tennessee, August 22nd and 23rd for the Honda Demo Days at Southern Honda Power Sports. Now, many of you out there already know that I got my 2024 Honda Goldwing at Southern Honda Power Sports. Great people out there. And if you're in the area, please come out. You have an opportunity to test ride some of the newest Honda models. You can test ride the Goldwings, you can test ride the NT1100 that we just reviewed, you can test ride the Africa Twin. Heck, I might even test ride a couple of different models if I have time. I'm going to be out there from about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 22nd, which is the first day. And the reason is I'm flying back in from Iceland the day before. We're going to be gone for a few days. So I won't be there early morning on the 22nd, but I will be there in the afternoon on the 22nd, and I'll be there all day on Saturday for the Honda Demo Days. So come out, we'll do a little meet and greet, we'll take pictures. If you have any of your Cruiseman's Garage merchandise, please wear it. I love seeing that, and I'll take a picture with you, and maybe you'll end up in a future episode of Crown and Comments. You just never know. There's no telling what I'll do. Okay, so Honda Demo Days, August 22nd and 23rd, Southern Honda Power Sports it's actually East Ridge, Tennessee, but it's like a suburb of Chattanooga. So I will be flying in. I will not be riding my bike. Like I said, I'm getting in town the day before. I just don't have time to ride the bike out there. So otherwise, I would have ridden the bike. Many of you may have already seen my NT1100 review that we posted to the channel a few days ago. That has been one of the most successful videos this year. I think we already have over 60,000 views. Huge viewership for a channel this size. You know, that's a very popular video for my channel. Great bike. The video out there, check it out. If you haven't seen it already, I'll put a link in the description up here. and also in the description of the video. Just go to my YouTube channel, you'll find it. Hugely popular video, a lot of comments. I'm going to talk more about the NT1100 in the comment section because a lot of you asked questions about the NT1100 or you posted comments, so we'll just deal with it there. I also thought it was a good idea, since I had the NT1100 for an extended period of time, to have my friend Dale Jones, who owns an Africa Twin, to compare the two, because a lot of people are trying to decide, do I want to buy an Africa Twin or do I want to buy an NT1100, because very similar motorcycles, exact same engine, transmission. And so I asked Dale to spend some time on the bike. He got approval from Honda. We had to go through some so you have to go through a lot of waivers and legal junk with Honda to get that, which is normal. And he spent, I think he rode the bike almost 600 miles. So he put some fair mileage on. He had it for about a week, and he was able to compare it to his Africa Twin. It's a great video. It's pretty much Dale giving his thoughts on the bike, so check that video out. I'll put that up in the description, up in the corner of the video as well. Make sure you check it out. It's a great video. Just in a couple of days, you're going to see a new video on the channel about a new, actually it's an updated product from Pathfinder LED. It's a product that's one of my favorite products from Pathfinder LED, and I am going to be promoting that, and I did an installation video for them. I did a review of it. I have it on my bike, so watch for that. Make sure, if you aren't already, you got to make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because if you're not, and only about 35% of you are, I know that because YouTube tells me how many people watch these videos are actually subscribers, and it's only like 35%. So if you're subscribed, guess what happens? The next time you go to YouTube, YouTube will put up a little notification that our new videos are out, and you'll be reminded to watch them. So it doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and you can unsubscribe anytime. It's not like, it's not like a lifelong commitment if you don't want to do it. So I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers on this channel. I've been trying for, it seems like, 25 years. So it's a race to the end to see if I can get to 100,000 before well, let's not talk about that. Thank you for those of you that support it. I also want to take time to thank my YouTube members. YouTube has this thing called memberships, and many of you have joined as members of the channel. I held off on doing this membership thing for quite some time, because usually when you have members, you offer them something that you don't offer people who are not members. And just so you know, a member actually pays a little bit per month to get access to different features, like, in my case, it could be behind the scenes videos. It could be early access to videos. My members get free, ad-free access to Crown and Comments. So if you're a member, you don't have to sit through the ads. I mean, the ads do help pay for the channel and keep this whole thing going. But so just so you know, that's what memberships are. And I was hesitant to start this back in the beginning, because my fear was, I'm going to get this all set up and I'm going to have 3 people join, and then I'm going to have to go through all this trouble to create this additional content for 3 people, and it wasn't going to be worth the trouble. Well, it turns out more than 3 people did become members, and it has steadily grown over the last few months. And I'm going to start putting the members up on the screen at the end of these videos, thanking you for your support of the channel. I'm going to start by showing the super supporters and the mega supporters. There's actually 3 different levels of membership. You can find all this information on my YouTube channel, just down at the very bottom where it says join. If you click on that, it'll give you all this information. And before we go to the first break, I would remind you one more time, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my email newsletter. I've got some special deals coming that I want to make sure to let you know. I don't always do it in a video. Sometimes I'll send an email out with discount codes or offers from different vendors and aftermarket companies. So make sure you have subscribed. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. You can unsubscribe at any time, but I'll put a link in the description of the video for that as well. Okay, when we come back, I'm going to give you my long-term reviews of the Sena Phantom helmet and the Breezy Ryder. So I'll see you soon. Hey, welcome back to Crown and Comments for July 2025. And now it's time for me to give you my long-term thoughts on. First, I'm going to start with the Sena Phantom helmet. This is a full-face helmet, has the built-in communications. I am not a full-face helmet guy. I've always worn modular helmets. I just like the ability to flip up the front of the helmet, and I still prefer a modular helmet. I've used the Sena Impulse helmet for the last, 2 or 3 years and been very pleased with it. My only issue with the Sena Impulse was about a year ago, I started having trouble being able to upgrade or update the firmware. I never could get the firmware to update. Well, I was just about to, deal with it when Sena sent me this Phantom helmet, which is a full-face helmet. It has the next generation of Sena communications built in, which supports their new wave technology. It, of course, has their mesh technology built in. It's got the little headlight on the front or flashlight or whatever you call it. It's also got the little brake light in the back, which I don't really use because I prefer the brake free. I think the brake free is just much bigger and brighter and gets more attention. First of all, like I say, I'm not crazy about full-face helmets. I think they're hard to put on. They kind of hurt my ears when I put them on. And I know somebody out there is going to say, well, if your ears weren't so damn big. But okay, that's just the way it is.
Much better.
But I will say that once I get it on, it is a little uncomfortable. I'm not used to it yet, but once you get it on, it's very comfortable for me. Fits my head perfectly. It actually fits better and is more comfortable than the Sena Impulse for me. I still like the Sena Impulse, but the Phantom really fits nicely. It's very well made. The face shield works fine. I'm still a little irritated with the little lines on the edges of the face shield. If your peripheral vision, sometimes you'll pick up that little seam that's in the face shield. I wish they could get rid of that. Also, the only other nitpick on that would be the sunshade. The sunshade works fine. It comes down from the top to protect your eyes from the sun. I think it could be just a shade darker. It's not quite dark enough. I wish it was a little bit darker, but I can live with it. I don't think there's any question that a full-face helmet offers probably better safety than a modular helmet. I don't know of any modular helmets that are Snell rated. So that could be why, because of all that mechanism, and it could fly open, and that chin bar could break off. I don't know the reason. I'm just saying that full-face helmets generally are what your road racers wear. They always wear full-face helmets. I feel like I do feel more secure and safer. The communications package that's inside that Phantom helmet is excellent. It's very good volume levels on the speakers. The sound is good. Robert and I have used the mesh between our helmets, between the Phantom and between his helmet. I think it's the SRL EXT on his Shoei helmet. Works flawlessly. No issues there. So I'm becoming a bigger fan of the Sena Phantom helmet. I really like it. I do hope they come out with a new version of the Impulse helmet because I would like to try it as well. So long-term review of the Sena Phantom helmet is good. My only other complaint with the helmet, I know it sounds like I say I love it, but yet I'm complaining. These are nitpicky things. I wish it had the quick release buckle instead of the little D-ring. They have the quick release buckle on the Impulse. I don't know why they didn't put it on the Phantom, because I really love that quick release buckle. I know I can put an aftermarket one on, but that's my only other little complaint. But as far as the fit, the feel, the comfort, the sound quality, the communications ability, the face shield, everything else, first class. I really like, and I love the looks of it. I think it's a cool looking helmet. That's the Sena Phantom. Let's get on to the Breezy Ryder, because a lot of you've been asking me for my long-term review of the Breezy Ryder, and I've had the Breezy Ryder on my bike, my 2024 Goldwing, for I don't know, 2 or 3 months now, but I wanted to wait until after I did an actual road trip in warm, hot weather to kind of give you a real solid long-term review of the Breezy Ryder. Now, this is a seat cover as well as a padded cover, so it does offer comfort, but what I like about it is you do have to remove your seat to install it. I have a video that shows you how to do that. It completely encapsulates the whole seat. The downside to that is it's difficult to take off. If for some reason you don't want it on there and you want to remove it, it's not like a seat pad where you can just pop it off. It's on there. You have to remove the seat to get it off. The good part of that is that it protects your seat cover. The Honda Goldwing seat is notorious for getting boot scuffs when you get on and off the bike. If you drag your boot across the seat, you'll scuff that seat, that vinyl, and you ain't getting out those scuffs. They're there forever. So this, you don't have to worry about it. You drag your boot across the Breezy Ryder, who cares? It doesn't affect it at all. So it's protecting your seat, and you get the additional benefit of it providing this padded additional cushioning as you ride. Now, I find the cushioning to be good. I don't have a huge experience with seat cushions. I've used the butt buffer. I believe that other than a really cheap one I used years ago from Walmart, that's the only other one I've ever used. This one I think has very good cushioning. Haven't tried out the pillion. Ricky hasn't tested it out on the back, but everything I've heard from other people say it's good. The bolster behind the rider takes a little getting used to, but overall I'd say it improves the comfort of the ride. It certainly does, as advertised, keep the ride, it keeps some airflow. It feels like it's cooler. When I rode to West Texas, it got up to about 103 degrees at one point, and I was never uncomfortable in the seat as far as that. I was uncomfortable in other parts of my body from the heat, but not from the seat. It really did feel like it was keeping cooler. Now, I rode through just a little bit of rain, and one of the other things they talk about is if it rains and this cushion gets wet, because there's so much airflow, it dries out pretty quickly. And I found that to be true too. I didn't ride through heavy rain, but I did ride through just a short, brief period of rain with this cover on. And it seemed to do what they advertise. So I would say overall for now, I'm probably going to leave it on my bike. I just like, for no other reason, number one, it's additional comfort, but number two, I don't have to worry about dragging my boot across the seat and scuffing it. The only negative on the Breezy Ryder would be it makes the seat a little more difficult to put back on the bike, because in the very front of the seat where you've got the 2 nylon pins that go down into the grommets, it adds enough material there where it makes it very difficult to get those pins to go in. Not a big deal for me. I don't even usually use the seat bolts when I put my seat back on. That seat isn't going anywhere. with me on it. Plus, it's got the hooks in the back to hold it on. So that's my long-term review of the Breezy Ryder. I'll put links in the description of this video. I think it's just breezyryder.com, and you can check that out. On the Sena, you can get a 10% discount if you use code Cruiseman. So I am a Sena affiliate, so I'll put a link in the description for that as well. So you can use code Cruiseman at checkout on the Sena website. And even if you use my link, you still have to put that code in to get the discount. It's kind of strange, but you do. Okay, when we come back, I'm going to tell you about what I've seen, maybe some disturbing trends in the motorcycle industry, and you're going to tell me if I'm crazy or if maybe I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill. That's when we come back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Cruiseman's Garage, Crown and Comments, July 2025. Man, the year is flying by. Okay, I told you I'm going to talk to you about a disturbing trend. I noticed this when I was reviewing the NT1100. I was going to make a video on how to adjust the chain, because I know a lot of people, and you'll see it in the comments, a lot of people are concerned, especially Honda Goldwing riders. They're used to having a drive shaft, so they don't want to have to deal with the chain, or they're afraid of dealing with the chain. And I thought, well, it might be a good idea just to make a video on how to adjust the chain. So I go to the owner's manual and I'm reading through there, and it talks about how to measure the chain, the slack in the chain, using a ruler, but it doesn't tell you how to adjust the chain. And yet it says you need to check it every 600 miles. So I'm thinking, well, what if you need to adjust it? What if the chain, it has too much slack and you need to adjust it? What, are you supposed to take it to the dealer? You're supposed to take your motorcycle to a dealer every 600 miles? You're not going to tell me how to adjust the chain? Now, many of you have been riding motorcycles for decades, years. You know how to adjust a chain. But a lot of you don't. A lot of people have never owned a motorcycle that had a chain, and they may not know how to do it. And besides, you have to loosen the rear axle on the motorcycle. There are certain steps involved. And you need to have the torque specs, if nothing else. They don't give you any of that information in the new owner's manual on the NT1100. They don't tell you how to do an oil change. They don't tell you how to do an air. They don't tell you how to do any maintenance on that NT1100. So you have to do one of two things. You'd have to take your motorcycle to the dealer every time you want this done, or you're going to have to pay for the Honda service manual if you can find one. Now, have any of you out there noticed this trend? I haven't noticed it in the Honda Goldwing owner's manual. My concern is that this might be a trend that Honda and maybe other manufacturers are heading to, where they don't want you doing anything on that motorcycle. They want you to take it to the dealer. And I'm telling you right now, if that's the case, that's a huge mistake on Honda's part. I'm hoping that's not the direction that Honda is thinking of going on motorcycles, because as one of the things I think people love about motorcycles is they're kind of rudimentary mechanically compared to an automobile now. You can work on your own Honda Goldwing. You can do all these. That's why I have the maintenance videos. If you couldn't work on your own Honda Goldwing, I'd be out of business. It concerns me that this might be a direction that Honda's thinking about, and I think it's going to be a big mistake, because I think a lot of people are not gearheads necessarily, but they're DIYers. They like to do things themselves. They like to take responsibility for their own equipment. They want to maintain their own motorcycle. They want to maintain their own vehicles, their ATVs, or whatever it is. They don't mind going to the dealer for a valve job or valve adjustments and things like that, but simple things like filter replacements or certainly adjusting a friggin' chain. My God, how basic can you get? That's the most simple, basic thing you could do on a motorcycle is just adjusting the chain. So why wouldn't Honda put that in the owner's manual? You guys comment. Let me know what you think about this, because I've noticed a trend on new automobiles. They're becoming so sophisticated, and now some of these manufacturers are putting parts on. You have to go to a dealer because, for example, there are what used to be rubber hoses with clamps on the new Ford models. They now have a clip that you basically have to break it to get it off. And it's a plastic hose now. It's not a rubber hose anymore. It's a plastic hose. It's designed to fail, basically. But if you need to remove it for whatever reason, maybe you're taking off your valve covers or whatever, you literally have to break the connection and then replace it with a new one. And unless you had the service manual, you wouldn't even know how to get the thing off. Whereas years ago, you just use a hose clamp, you undo it, take it off, and you could do it yourself. These are trends that I know the auto manufacturers are heading toward. I hope Honda and other motorcycle manufacturers don't do this. I think they're gonna hurt themselves, because we, like a lot of us, not everybody. Now, there's a lot of you guys out there, you don't even want to touch your motorcycle. You want to take it to the dealer anytime something needs to be done. But a lot of us, evidence is by how many video systems I sell. I know there are a lot of people out there who have my videos. Those are people that want to work on their own motorcycle. They don't want to turn their motorcycle over to some guy they don't know. They don't know how well he's trained. And they want to take responsibility for their own bike. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. When we come back, your comments, my reaction, and my answers right after this. Hey everybody, welcome back to Crown and Comments, July 2025. I'm Cruiseman, and I'm now going to read some of your comments that you've posted to my YouTube channel. Some of these might be emails you sent me, I'm not sure. Some of them might have been on Facebook. I'm not a big Facebook guy. I have 2 Facebook groups for Goldwing maintenance. You can check those out. But mostly it's for you guys to talk amongst yourselves. I'll go in there and check it periodically, and I'm the moderator, I administer it, but I just don't like Facebook. So a lot of you want to message me through Facebook, and I apologize. It may take a while for me to get back to you because I don't know how it works. I've never been able to figure out Facebook. My whole history was software development and technology, and Facebook is one that I never can figure out how it works or why they do things the way they do it. Last month in Crown and Comments, I told you I needed your help. I asked you to let me know if this channel or me or something to do with this channel has helped to influence your purchase of a Honda Goldwing. And I was overwhelmed by the number of comments I got. Over 120 so far of the comments that I've read on that video suggested that this channel had something to do with them, or maybe totally did something to encourage them or influence them to purchase a Honda Goldwing. I'll just read 2 or 3 of them that I picked out. Hey Chris, this is from Gooey 3795. Hey Chris, I've been watching for about 7 years since I purchased my 2018 Goldwing. You were the reason I traded my Harley Street Glide for my DCT with no regrets. Your videos and product reviews are the best. Congrats on the 13 years, hoping for another 13. He's referring to the fact that the channel has been on YouTube for 13 years. Thank you, Goey. The next one I picked out, this is from Mike. He said, Cruiseman's Garage channel was the biggest contributing factor for me buying my 2024 Honda Goldwing Tour. He has the most information with these bikes, not to mention he is all over the new tech and updates. He is great at making videos that are extremely easy to follow and understand. I really like that he isn't just stuck on one type of bike. His reviews are great. His video comparing the Wing to the BMW K1600 led me to the Wing. Well, thank you, Mike, for that. Tango said, I bought a 2022 Goldwing DCT after finding your channel and content. I had no plans of ever buying one, and then 1 month after watching your videos, I sold 2 BMWs and bought my Wing. These are exactly the kind of comments that I was hoping for. And there's, like I said, over 120 that I went through personally, and there's probably been more comments added since then. And these are just the people that watched last month's Crown and Comments and took the time to put in a comment. We'll go, okay, let's start with the other comments now. Thanks to everybody that took the time to do that. And if you haven't done it, and if you didn't put a comment in on last month's video, and this channel did have some influence on you purchasing a new Goldwing, put it in the comments on this video. Let me know. And I appreciate it. This is from Daniel Moore. Boy, the tide shifts very quickly. This is on the video I did on the 2 pressure washers from Fantic. Kind of getting a strong impression you've sold your soul to cheap corporate Chinese made crap. Maybe. I don't know if that's true. My soul was very cheap. First of all, I don't think the 2 pressure washers are cheap Chinese-made crap. And I will say that I've had issues with some Chinese-made product, no doubt. But there's some good things that come out of China, too. A lot of good products are being made in China. A lot of the products that you buy that you don't even know are made in China are actually made in China. I'm not trying to defend anything here. I'm just saying that I've always found Fantic to have very innovative products, and they work well. But, you know, everybody's got an opinion. Thank you, Daniel, for that thought. Okay, this is from Jake. How do you get your result? This is on the video on Darksiding, where I rode to Midland. I did that on a motovlog. How do you get your results to get your miles per gallon every gas stop? I use an app called Fuely. I think I pay $10 a year for it. Well worth $10 a year. And every time I stop for gas, I put in the gallons, the odometer reading, and it calculates the miles per gallon. Now, when I fill up, I don't just stick the thing in the gas tank and when it shuts off, I'm done. I pull it up and I try to fill it to where I can see the gas almost under. I don't overfill it, but I do go past the point where the automatic shutoff is, because the automatic shutoff, you can still put an extra half a gallon in or more after that's done. So I may be off by a cup or 2 cups of gas on each fill up, but you're still able to get a trend line of mileage. But that's how I do it. I use an app called Fuely. Very good app. And there's others out there. There's other apps that do this. This is on a video I did talking about what happens if your smart key goes dead. Rick says, never cared for smart keys. It's electronics, and electronics fail over time. I agree. I'd be perfectly happy with the old key like I had on the NT1100. I don't particularly like smart keys either. I get the appeal of them, but, I could live without it. I could get into a whole rant on this new Lexus we have. And they've overdone the electronics, and it's anyway, another story. SRE 4731. This is on the video for the blind spot monitor from Inov. He says, "Hi Cruiseman, that's a great product. Thanks for the video, but the rear camera mounting location is odd. How do you remove the license plate holder if the camera is firmly attached to the mount with a cable? And why is there never a cable attached to the rear camera in your other videos?" I'm not sure what he's referring to there about the cable in the other videos. First of all, I have the little accessory shelf installed from Traction Dynamics, which is on the rear fender. And when he says the license plate holder, I think he's referring to the rear fender. In other words, how do you take the rear fender off if you've got a camera with a cable attached to it? There are two nuts or bolts on the side of that camera mount, and I basically just remove those bolts. They're little small threaded, machine threaded bolts. And then the camera can come off the mount. And I just let it hang over to the side, when I remove the rear fender. So it's easy to do. Michael says, "Hey Chris, another informative video, thanks. This is on my dark siding video. What kind of jacket and gloves are you wearing, and are you sweating in that 89-degree heat?" Well, it got up to 103. I know the video you said you were more comfortable, but despite me wearing my mesh jacket with armor, I'm always sweating in the hot weather. I don't feel comfortable riding without protection anymore, but can you recommend any light jackets with maximum airflow and full protection? Well, I wear an Olympia Air Glide 5. Olympia is now out of business. Apparently, Cycle Gear bought out some of the old inventory that Olympia still had, and I snapped one up as soon as I could, because before that I was wearing the Air Glide 4 and I loved it, and I've been wearing Olympia jackets for years. Robert White and Dale wear a jacket from Climb. I'm not sure if it's the Induction. They have a Climb jacket that they really like. It's a mesh jacket as well, but it has all the armor and the protection. The other thing you could do is get a nice mesh jacket and wear the Bond armor underneath, the one that has the paper thin mesh so that the air goes right through it to keep you cool. That's another option for you. But there's a lot of mesh jackets out there on the market. I haven't tested all of them, so I'm not qualified. My gloves are from Built, from Cycle Gear. They're not expensive gloves. I think they're $30 or $40. And I'm getting ready to replace them. They're about ready to be replaced. They're starting to get pretty worn. And I'm looking at maybe getting either the new Climb gloves or the Taichi. Because I really think I could use a little more protection than what these gloves offer. Thank you, Michael, for that question. This one is from Daniel. He says, "Hi, Cruiseman. I've always liked Goldwings. At 21, I purchased a 1988 Goldwing. Due to unfortunate issues, I had to sell it, but I've always wanted another one. After seeing your channel and your maintenance videos, I decided to purchase a 2023. Good. Congratulations. I don't know what it is about me and dealerships, automobile or motorcycle. No one ever listens about what is wrong with the vehicle, and I'm treated like I'm stupid. Honda needs to listen to its owners. I will be pursuing a lemon law attorney since there's no dealership that I have gone to that cares that my throttle surges. They first agree that it's happening, but they will not do anything about it to fix it. I've been told by them not to ride it, and as it's considered a safety issue. I even called Honda customer service with no success." Okay, I don't know where you're located. I don't know what dealership you're going to. Definitely, you probably should go to a Honda Powerhouse dealer if you haven't already. If your throttle is surging, I'm not qualified to really say what could fix that. My first thought would be is to have them reprogram your ECU. And what they can do is basically reflash it so that it gets a brand new program from the factory, and then also to maybe is it a DCT? I didn't see. If it's a DCT, I would also reinitialize your DCT, which you can do on your own in your garage. But I would ask a dealership if they could reflash your ECU, because it could be something in the computer that's causing this to happen. There's no excuse for, on a 2023 Honda Goldwing, that a dealer would tell you don't ride the bike, it's not safe, and we're not going to fix it. That doesn't fly. You're doing the right thing with an attorney, and I don't know. That surprises me that Honda customer service would ignore an issue like that. Please keep me updated on this. If anybody else out there has ever had an issue like that with the throttle surging, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe you know what the resolution to your problem was, and you can help Daniel out. Ron Hansen says, this is on the dark siding video. Got a lot of comments on the dark siding video. I've been using the car tire on a GL 1800 for about 12 years now. I would never go back to a motorcycle tire on the rear. A GL 1800 with 2 passengers is overloading the motorcycle tire. I'm not sure about that. And it heats up to dangerous levels in hot weather and fast internet speeds. I have an infrared gun and have seen 170 degrees, and he goes on and talks. I have to assume that the car tire runs much cooler. I don't know about it being, these tires are designed for 2-up riding on a heavy bike. So I don't know if I agree with that. I'm not saying that the car tire doesn't run cooler. That may be true. But I don't know that it's dangerous for the motorcycle tire to run hot, because I haven't heard of a lot of rear tires failing under 2-up riding on interstate speeds in hot weather. You know, everybody's got an opinion about this dark siding issue on both sides. And if you're comfortable riding with a car tire, go for it. I think it's great. I have no problem with it. Drew says, this is on the new Wago terminals. That's an old video. Once again, this video is bullshit. Where is the convoy shown in the thumbnail? Liar. I will report as misinformation. I have no idea what he's talking about. He put a comment in on a video. There's no convoy in the thumbnail. What's he talking about? Or maybe he misspelled it? Just one of the many love letters I get here at Cruiseman's Garage. Okay, this is from Zeke on dark siding. Your channel, your ride. I respect you taking on the topic, but your most musing secondhand knowledge and some fear-mongering opinions. The Virginia thing is true and based on uninformed rationale. Here's what I know. I've never met a Darkside rider who hasn't ridden on a motorcycle tire, but almost every motorcycle tire rider who is anti-Darkside has never tried it. Not true. I've had some people comment that had been on the dark side and they went back to a motorcycle tire. Not saying that they're anti-Darkside, but they have decided they do prefer the ride of the motorcycle tire. But that's okay. I have enough money to buy motorcycle tires. That's not my reason. Truth is, most wing riders are hitting the flat roads most of the time, and they're far from dragging knees when they're in curves, so the center of the tire is worn away before they wear down the tire ribs. Okay, I see what he's saying. It's a fair point. If you are a long-distance rider, you spend most of your time on interstates or highways, you're not really carving the canyons, dragging knees, as he puts it. You know, that might be a better application for a car tire, where you're just basically going in a straight line. You know, so what? You're not doing a lot of twisty road riding anyway. I can sort of see that argument. Okay, thank you for the comment, Zeke. I appreciate it. Bob Marison says, this is dark siding. A lot of dark siding comments. I recently discovered that firefighters like bike helmets to practice removing them safely from dummies. So please donate any unwanted helmets to your local fire station. I didn't know that. That's great information, great public service information. So if you have any old helmets you're not using anymore, donate them to your local fire station, and they'll use those to practice how to get those helmets off of a rider that goes down. Good information. Mark's Garage, one of my members. Thank you, Mark. If you haven't checked out Mark's channel, check out Mark's Garage 17. I'll put a link on the screen. Another dark siding comment. Hi, Chris. This is a great topic. Has lots of opinions. I know an individual who ran a car tire on the rear of his 2010 Honda Goldwing. Shortly after he passed away, I helped his wife with selling and loading the bike onto a transport trailer. When I gave the bike a short warm-up and ride around our local lake, it became very apparent to me about the difference in handling and turning. Without question, the car tire made it extremely difficult to corner and turn the bike in a tight radius. The new owner of that Goldwing told me the first thing they were going to do was to put a new motorcycle tire on the bike. My first-hand experience just one time clearly illustrated it's not an ideal setup for me. Thanks for discussing the topic. Well, thank you, Mark, for that comment. This is on the bullet brake. He says, does this also fit the first generation GL 1800? Yes, I believe it does. I don't think Honda changed anything with the front brake calipers on the motorcycle. They should have the same thread pitch. You might want to double check with Bullet Brake on that. They have a list on their website of all the motorcycles and the fitment. So I think they only make 2 models, and I'm pretty sure the one that fits the Goldwing fits like 95% of the Japanese bikes out there. So should work fine on a previous generation Honda Goldwing. This is from Dieter. He sent me a $9.99 super thanks. I don't get very many of those super thanks. It's a thing on YouTube where you can basically like send somebody I guess you'd call it a gratuity. It's down at the bottom of each video. Well, he sent me $9.99 for my NT1100 review, and thank you. I appreciate that. Always appreciate any kind of contribution. Thomas says on the NT1100 video, the optional top case does not require removing the knockouts. It just clamps onto the luggage rack. Okay, thank you. I didn't know that. The silly turn signals stock are due to an old US DOT regulation on the distance from the headlight bezel to the turn signal. I bought my NT1100 back in May when they first came out. I have over 3,000 miles on it. I'm 5'7" with a 30-inch inseam. I can flat foot at a stoplight, and the windshield is perfect height, no buffeting. There you go. Okay, so if you're 5'7" with a 30-inch inseam, the NT1100 should fit you perfectly as it does. Let's see, as it does. Thomas. Okay, this is from Mediocre Man, NT1100. I'm really confused by this review. Why do you think it can't do 2-up riding? I didn't say it can't do it. That's one of the original selling points from Honda, and why don't you think it's good for longer tours? That's also one thing that's been advertised as it's being capable of. I should have clarified that better. You have to understand my point of view. I'm coming from a Honda Goldwing. If I was coming from a DAX 125, I would think that the NT1100 is the best touring bike ever built. But coming from a Goldwing and going to an NT1100, it feels like it's lacking in the long-distance touring department, especially 2-up, because the passengers' legs and knees are going to be pretty high up. And you would probably have to have a top case with the little back pad on it to have any comfort at all. I'm not saying you can't do it, and I'm not saying that it wouldn't be comfortable for most people in most circumstances. A lot of it depends on your pain tolerance and how old you are. I think if you're in your 30s or 40s, this might be an excellent 2-up touring bike. If you're in your 60s or 70s or 80s, maybe not so much. But it's a good point. It's a fair point. Thank you, Mediocre Man, for bringing that up. Archer says, this is on the comparison to the Africa Twin. Several people have shown that the NT1100 Windshield can be adjusted with one hand. You can adjust the windshield with one hand. I think that's one of the improvements or changes that Honda made. The problem is when you're sitting on the bike and reaching up and trying to pull out, it's a pretty stiff spring. You're in an unusual angle, and if you try to do that when you're riding, it could really, first of all, you're having to take your hand off the handlebars. Now, if you're at a stoplight, you can stand up and kind of lean forward and do it. You could probably manage it. It just still is not very elegant. The easiest way to change it is if you're off the bike, standing next to the windshield. Honda could have done a better job with designing a windshield that could be adjusted while you're riding, or at least when you're still sitting on the bike. This is on the Africa Twin comparison. NM Desert Tracer said, this guy smart as a tack. I assume he's talking about Dale, because Dale was most of the video. So Dale, you're smart as a tack. Thank you for that comment. Robert Frank said, the more I see reviews of this bike, the more I want one. Well, go get it. They'll sell it to you. Zune Trucker says, wow, that was awesome. I really appreciate both of you for this great video. I think the NT1100 is the one for me. Okay, good to know. Vincent says, this is on Darksiding again. If there was ever an incident because I had a car tire, I'd never be able to forgive myself, and I'd feel like an idiot for trying to save a few $100. Not worth it just for the peace of mind. There's the other side of the argument. Okay, this is on the Africa Twin comparison. Thanks for a most excellent review. Your comparison answered all my questions except one. I'm still not clear about how well the stock windshield on the NT prevents helmet buffeting at speed. I know that's a tough question given all the variables. Okay, for me, it didn't work. But I'm 6'2" with a 32-inch inseam. Dale is 5'9" with a 32-inch inseam. So our legs are the same size, but our torso and upper body, I'm taller. I'm maybe 3 or 4 inches taller than Dale. I got a lot of head buffeting and a lot of wind noise in the helmet. Dale didn't seem to have a problem with it. He thought it was better than the Africa Twin. So he didn't have any issues with it. A lot of it's going to depend on the type of helmet you're wearing. It might depend on whether or not you wear earplugs. There's all, like he said, there's all kinds of variables. I would probably solve the issue with an aftermarket windscreen. I'd just get a taller, wider windscreen, and I'm sure that would solve the issue. Does the American version have the 6-axis IMU? Yes, and I failed to mention that. This motorcycle does have the IMU. I'm not that up to date on it, and I didn't see Honda making a big deal out of it, and I think that's why I forgot to mention it, but that's a very good point. Question, does the NT1100 come with link brakes like the Goldwing? No, the brakes are not linked like the Honda Goldwing, so you have a completely separate rear brake from a front brake. I think that was it. I think that was my last comment. That was it. It's over. Okay. We're done for July 2025. Thanks for joining me. If you liked this video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. If the channel has influenced your purchase of a motorcycle, put in the comments down below. If you're in the Chattanooga area, drive to Southern Honda Power Sports on August 22nd, 23rd. I'll be there half a day on Friday in the afternoon and evening, and I'll be there all day on Saturday. Make sure you come down, say hi, wear your Cruiseman's merchandise, your cap, and your shirt. Much appreciated. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you on the next Crown and Comments. And until then, do me a favor, ride often, but ride safe.